let's assign a key to our blueprint, and we just want to add or decrease the float value. For example, when I press key, just try to find it, sorry. For example, when I press the key or when I release the key, K, I just want to set health to 0, for example, right now, which is the default one, is 100. But if we get the health and make a little bit mathematical calculations, like subtracting floats, subtract, let's say, we can subtract 10 and we can directly set it to health. So we will get the current health, we will subtract 10 and we will set it to health again. And we can add print string. Also we can append mode, append in here. It will just basically combine 2 strings in here. And we can say health, and we will return the value of health variable. So also, for example, let's trigger this.
Excuse me.
Yeah.
Purple, pink, other half of the pink. Please come with me.
See you. So I will just continue where I left. So basically, we made some calculations on the current health to subtract the current health to 10 and set it to health. And when we press key, and we will see that health is getting decrease and more. So this is how we manipulated data and the variables basically. So I think we are okay for this basic visual scripting, and this is all the main idea of how it works. So always trying to read or trying to get the value, and we will just get a value, we will modify it, and we will set it again. And we can also provide the data with the user interfaces, for example, or we can just directly present this as 2D layers. So thank you. Thank you. So I will just create a new ZD Studio session 2. And I also have a local web server that is replicating the Zero Density's UI on my local right here. And it directly works with our Unreal Engine. So I will just check it. Is it working? Yes, it's working. So for the blueprint scripting, most of the time at the TRT2, we are using a central blueprint actually for controlling the stuffs. And we are just gathering all the buttons in one place. And of course, we can create some separations. We can create some categorized buttons in it. So I will just create a new blueprint class on my content browser, and I will just simply add an actor, and I will just give a name as blueprint controller. And I think the resolution is not that correct. So here's the overview of blueprint screen for the actors, for example, or the pawns. So we can add some components on the left here, such as static mesh, lights, or the other components that we can work with. And we have variables and the functions, and we can see our graphs in the left place, and we will have the details of the selected components or the variable options in the right place on the blueprint side. So we are going to use event grab tab for the scripting basically. So we have some nodes in here by default added by Unreal Engine, such as begin play, actor begin overlap, and the event tick, which is runs in the background for each frame, which is not very good for our processors. We should be avoid to use it because it can overwhelm the CPU. So I am just deleting it, and also we have a actor begin overlap, which is commonly used for the games. For example, characters can have some collisions, and let's say one character steps on a trigger, it can trigger the begin overlap events basically, which is works with directly collisions for the mesh. So we don't need it for the virtual studios, and for the begin play, it will start to execute this pin as soon as I clicked on the play button, and we can play with the tangents of the curve basically. So we can create, we can modify the transition or the blend process. So it will make a little bit smoother right now. So when we call this event, open video wall event, we can just directly plug it into the play from start. So it will start from 0 to 2, and it will provide me 1. Let's test it, for example, with the print string. So when I just pressed play, just try to track this area, please. You will see the change, how it's executed. Just press play, it triggered, and as you can see, there are some logs in here. It just provides me these values with the timeline. So we can override some material opacities with this technique, but we always see that we can use material instances, but instead there is a concept called material collection parameter that we can easily integrate with our scalar parameters or the vector parameters, for example. And we will have an access easily with this material parameter collections. So on the materials and textures, there's a material parameter collection option in here, and I am just going to create it, and let's say it's materials. So as you can see, there are some scalar and vector parameters, and I am just going to define a scalar parameter, and I will just call it opacity, and I will leave it 1 as the default one. So it always will be 1 as the default. So let's just create a new material, video wall, for example. and I will just simply drag and drop operation to my material, and I will, it's already selected this collection because I just simply drag and drop operation, or I can type collection parameter to select the other collection parameters in my material editor. So it will provide me an output for the opacity in here. Let's make it translucent for the using the opacity channel for material example, and let's add a basic texture sample. No video texture will be our basic texture. So as you can see, we have the material in here, and we have a material parameter collection that is connected with the material. So when I played the material parameter connection, as opacity, I can directly control this value at here. So basically, we will override this opacity value with this timeline. So in order to do that, I will just add a set scalar parameter value on the material, and I will just basically select the collection that we have created on the content browser, and we provided an opacity value on it. So we will update it for our opacity parameter, and we will just connect the output opacity to our scalar parameter value. So we just need to assign our material. Let's make it a little bit bigger, and let's just rotate it. And we have the material in here. So I will just directly modify this opacity variable like this. It's just like material instances, but it will create a central controls for this material parameters as float or the vectors. So as when the begin play executed, it will wait 2 seconds, then it will trigger this custom element, which is it plays a timeline, and for each update for the frame, we will feed this material collection parameter, basically. Just play. Let me check it, what happened. 0 to 1. So let's just make it 0 as the default. We will try to show it. As you can see, there is an effect that happens in the 2 seconds. Also, we can have some external custom elements we can create to disable video wall, and we can connect this to reverse from, and so it will start from the 1 and it will start to decrease to 0 when we call this disable video wall. So we will start after that, after 2 seconds, we will trigger open video wall, and after a while, let's say 3 seconds, we will try to call disable video call. Disable video wall. Let's just try it. And I also want to show this. So as you can see, it just started and executed another custom element for us with the begin play. So for the virtual studios, for example, we have to assign this custom elements to the zero densities user interface. So I will just remove it, and with Alt and left click will just break the lines between the nodes like this, like this. I am just pressing with Alt key. I'll just remove them. And when I clicked play button and when I checked, there is an engine running in the zero densities backend. So in here, it's also a node-based compositing system. We can add some virtual cameras in here to display it. So as you can see, there's a text reality community edition because we are not using the Unreal Engine's default camera right now. It's overridden by reality. And we can control this camera on the UI also. And so for the reality, there's a track info from the devices. For example, type. It will provide us a transform of the camera or the fall values, etc. We can directly put it into our cameras to make it work with the motion, actually. So we added our controller blueprints to Unreal Engine, but I am not able to see it on the zero densities UI. In order to see them, we can basically add a ZD actor component to our blueprint actors, and we will just provide a name for it. Again, a BP controller will be enough for us right now. And just I am going to check with my engine. As you can see, there is a blueprint controller. So I will just eject the player to select the controller. As you can see, there is a transform in here for the blueprint controller in Unreal Engine. So we can define our variables in here, in different categories maybe, and we will also see our created functions in the blueprints in this functions tab. But we only just created a custom element. We didn't create any function. So unfortunately, we are not able to use any timeline operations or the delay nodes in the functions. But luckily, we can create custom events, and we can call these custom events from our functions. Custom events call. Let's create an open video wall, which came from controller. And when I clicked, I am just directly send it in here because the custom event triggers. So we just provided a function in the blueprints, and when we use this function, we will see that it should be playing this timeline in order to update our opacity. Here is our controller, and as you can see, there is the function that we have created in the blueprints controller. And let's just try to trigger it, and as you can see, and we will just try to provide another function to call disable video wall. So I just duplicated it, so this is the reason we are seeing it right now. And let's call our custom events disable video wall. Disable video wall. So we should be able to see these two functions in the blueprint controller right now in order to control it as we wanted. My blueprints, functions, and here's the basic functions, for example, and open it and disable it. So we are just created some functions that triggers that custom events in order to play a timeline to update the material parameter with collection parameters, basically. So, for example, I would like to mention about some basic variables like health for the games, for example, and we can make some health calculations in order to understand how the really visual scripting or the real programming works in the behind. For example, let's go with another BluePrint class, and I will just call it health. So I will just add a new variable like health, and I will just set it as float. And let's provide a 100 to it. I'm just going to delete them all, and let's start with the basic stuffs. And on begin play, we can get this health value, or we can set this health value. So it's already 100, but we want to, for example, make some subtraction operation, operation with this. Basically, it's just simply typing the arithmetical operations, and I will just try to provide this health variable after I clicked play, and it will just directly make a subtraction operation. It will just get that 100, and it will make a it will subtract 10, and it will print it. So let's just test it. It should be print 90, right? Yeah. And we haven't added our BluePrint actor, so I just add, and as you can see, it printed. So we can make this, for example, function with custom events and subtract value maybe, and it will directly every time we call that subtract value, we will set the health. So in order to call this, maybe we can add some inputs like, for example, hash key. So we can call subtract value. Every time we pressed hash, we will run this in order to get the current health. We will make some subtract operation, and we will set the health again. And just press hash. It's not getting any input. This is because why we haven't give any input. And we can set auto receive input to player 0 in order to have some keyboard controls on our actors. Just play and hash, as you can see, it starts to decrease like this. Okay, what about the booleans? So we can perform some true or false checks. By the way, do we have time, or the lunch break?
Yeah, we have.
We have?
We have time.
Great. Okay. So I will just add another variable. For example, let's consider this BP health as a player. And we can add some stat. And I will just select that boolean. It will provide us, it will return true or false or 0 or 1. So let's check it. We can get it or set it. We can always get a variable or we can set it. This is the main idea of the programming, let's say. We get the variable we make some modifications on that variable and we set it. So we can add some branch nodes, which stands for if-else in the programming. So we will try to subtract the health, and every time it will print the current health after the subtraction operation, and it will check is it that, for example. If it's not that, do nothing. If it's not that, do nothing, and if it's that, let's make it print string. You are that. So, how to add some condition check or set the condition on this boolean? Maybe we can check another. We can add some another nodes in here. So we can say that if health is equals to 0 or it's less than 0, we can mark it as that, or with the boolean basically. So let's get this boolean as set, and we can say that is it equal or less. So if it's equal to 0, our health value is equal to 0 or less than the 0, we will basically check it with our branch nodes. The red one will always give us the boolean true or false. Also, we can customize this variable colors in according to our needs. Maybe we don't want to see the booleans as red. We can customize them in the Unreal Editor. But if it's that, we will, the health is equals to 0 or it's smaller than the 0, we can mark it as that. And if it's not, we can make some additional control, and we can again call it as you are that. And every time we pressed hash key, we can make an additional operation. Is that? If it's not that, we can subtract this value. But if it's that, we can print any additional lock. You are not able to do it since you are that. We can type. So let's just try our code. Is it working? It's not working right now. Let's check it. Hash key, is it that? It's not that. So subtract the health. It's 0. Just set that. If it's not that, we can just remove it to test it. And is it 100? Okay. It just works, but we are not printing any health values, so that's why we couldn't see the anything. We will just add a print string in here to see our current health, because I just removed it and I just added again. And let's just add it that you are that. Hash key can make some conditional locks in here, as you can see. So it just triggers this flow, and you are that. We have a basic controller with branching nodes.
And how would you use it on TV?
Actually, it's just a logic for our...
Okay, but did you have any chance to do something similar? Do you use on TRT some quiz, for example, or something like that for Unreal Engine?
No, actually, we haven't done any quiz, but for example, we are doing it for the checks. Is the wall visible? So I am just trying to create one single button to toggle the visibility of the wall, for example, and we are basically adding some Boolean, is it right now visible or not? So if it's visible, then hide it, but it's not hide it, so we can make it visible. So the basic branch node usage, for example, in this section.
So you can make it, let's say, can he sense if the image is freezed? And if it's freeze, then the wall is going down.
Yeah, it can be happen. Why not? Yeah.
So you don't have the operator that needs to lower down the wall.
Yeah. You can automate it. For example, maybe you can check. There's a node called on and reach for the media players. So after the last frame, the media player reached on the last frame. So I will just try to convert it as polygon, and I just want to provide a Murphy modifier, and we can add some pick object from the scene to this. So it will create me a Murph target for me in order to do that. And after all, in the Unreal Engine, we can get this float values to feed this, basically. Let's export it again. Let's take a bar mesh 2. I'm just making sure smoothing groups is selected. And let's import it into here. And bar mesh 2. I just need to make sure that it has to be skeletal meshes since we are using Murph targets. And I will just try to open this, import Murph targets, and it should be create a physics assets for us, but it will be very smaller because our default base mesh is very small. And we just imported it. So I will just open my skeletal mesh, which has a bone. As you can see here, it just created a bone for us as the default for the root. And we have the Murph targets in here. As you can see, it's visible. And we can modify this Murph target like this. So we can feed this with a single float value. Let's create another BluePrint class for our bar, let's say. And I just open with my Control A, for it stands for the Control Edit, and we can add some skeletal mesh in here. And I just selecting the bar. So let's start with the basics. We can create a new custom element for election bar, for example, and basically we can see the motion if we feed it with the timeline, just like we did it on the opacity and showing this video wall that we had done before. I just added a custom element, play bar, and add timeline. Just play from the start. Maybe we can say bar height, and add some basic keys, just like we did before. 1 to 1, and it will be 1. Also, there are some options in here. It can be loop, it can autoplay, or it use a last keyframe. I think it was about the starting from the where it stopped. So if it stopped, it will register it as last keyframe, I think, and I haven't used it before. So as you can see, there's a bar height, and we have the skeletal mesh. So if we just simply drag and drop it, we will get that bar mesh, and we can call it set Murph targets, for example. And this merp target will be fed by timeline, but we have to provide a merp target that we have created on 3ds Max. So I will just open my skeletal mesh to get the name of it, which is box220. Just paste it in here. And let's call this event on begin play to test is it working with some delay nodes. And also using a little bit delay after the begin play will be helpful, because sometimes if it's a big operation or if it's a very fast instruction, it might not trigger it. So having a little bit delay will be enough. And we will just simply call playbar custom events. And we added bar. Probably it will look weird. As you can see, it just moved. Let's add more delay so we can find the location of it. As you can see, bar growth. The flickering is related with the physics assets actually. I will just try to increase it more to see it much more clean. As you can see, for example, it's a basic bar that can be fed with a single float value.
Okay, but we can see that UV is deforming.
Sorry?
UV.
UV, yeah. For example, there are some nodes which is called, let me try to find the correct name of in the material. I think we can use some word aligned texture for weaving to fixed texture, or we can create some UV. For example, there are some techniques, I think, that we can change the normal maps or the textures according to the merp target. We can make some little transitions between the textures, for example.